Hello, Michael Tellinger. I'm back with more frequently asked questions, and this time we deal with a very important question. This is something that comes up all the time, and it's one that really explains and describes how open and inviting and how embracing the one small town and contributionism philosophy truly is. It never ever excludes anyone, always invites and embraces everyone to benefit from our collective efforts to make our town a place of prosperity and abundance. And this question is, what about existing businesses? What if they don't want to participate? What if they don't want to become a community project? Or what if they don't want to sell out to the community? How do you involve these kind of businesses? This could be an engineering factory, a pharmaceutics company, it could be a corner shop, it could be a mom and pop store, it could be a dry cleaning business, it could be whatever it is. It could be a wood factory making wooden doors and windows, and I'm probably going to use that example to show you how beautifully inclusive and embracing this philosophy is. So what happens to the existing businesses in our town? So first of all, to start off with, nobody ever has to jump off a cliff and leave everything behind or give everything up to start the one small town or get involved or initiate the one small town plan of action in your town or your community. There is never that kind of situation. So there is no risk of losing everything while we're trying something new that has not been tried and tested. So it's really important, and people constantly forget that. They think that we have to now start this and everybody has to be in on it, otherwise it's going to fail. That's not the case at all. In fact, it's completely the opposite. If only 5 or 10% of the town community get involved, while we have and installed our own generator, just follow my logic here. I'm going a little off the track here, but I'll come back to how we deal with existing businesses. But this is the beauty of it, how simply this can launch. It's a seamless transition. Even if 5 or 10% of the people get involved and drive the One Small Town initiative. In a town of 5,000 people, that's already 500 people or 250 people. That's already a substantial number of people. 250 people giving 3 hours a week. That's 750 hours of labor a week that we have to find jobs for these people. But the moment we've installed our own generator, our own electricity, that belongs to the community, the money that we then get from people paying electricity goes into the kitty that belongs to the community and the Council of Elders. That Council of Elders then decides, together with the town council and the mayor, how and where that money is going to be spent. So what in essence happens, the people that do not participate in the One Small Town initiative, they still carry on paying their electricity, while the small number of people get the free electricity because they're contributing their 3 hours a week. So in essence, the people that do not participate become the funders of the future success of their own community. This is really critical, important kind of twist in our reality that we need to come to terms with. This is such a beautiful thing. So let's come back to how do we deal with existing businesses. So first of all, it's a smooth transition. No one has to give up their job, the current job that you do right now. Your town can start the One Small Town initiative tomorrow. You can be part of that tomorrow and don't have to change a thing other than finding 3 hours a week. That's how simple it is. So the normal businesses carry on, slowly but surely, gradually, as we bring in and invite other businesses that may conflict or may begin to compete with existing businesses in our town. That's when this beautiful example of how embracing the One Small Town strategy truly is. So I'm going to use a wooden factory, for example. So because there is a situation like that in our town. There's a wood factory that makes wooden doors and windows and so forth. What if we want to bring in and turn that wooden factory into a big factory? Let's say we find an investor that wants to bring and expand a wooden factory, doors, windows, etc. So we go to the existing wooden factory owner and we say to him, please turn your wooden factory into a community project, into a community-owned business. And obviously the question that this owner will ask, well, why should I do that? What's in it for me? And the answer to that is there's a lot in it for you. First of all, you have the exclusivity to then become the wooden factory in the town. No other competitor will ever be allowed in to start another wooden factory in our town, because that company of yours, of which you will retain 1/3, and 2/3 of it will then belong to the rest of the community, to the people, will become one of the cornerstones of our community business. The next benefit is that you'll start getting free electricity or largely discounted electricity once we install our own generator, because you're now contributing to the well-being of the community. Thirdly, we'll bring in all the best technology that we can as a community. We will find the funding for it. We will fund it either through the electricity or through other sources of funding that we'll bring in, so that we can turn your wooden factory, of which you'll retain a 1/3 ownership, will become the best possible wooden doors and window and other components factory in the world, the best quality, so we can really scale it up and make it as good and as technologically advanced as possible. Thirdly, you get free labor. Other than your management and the expertise of the people that have some very special skills, the rest of the labor then gets provided by the people in your community. So your monthly labor bills will be cut dramatically. Additional benefit would be that the components will be provided by the community. If we then need to provide the nails and the screws and the tools, whatever it is, one of the things we'll then do is set up a separate business that can then provide the ingredients and the components. And whether it's getting the wood from a special concession because of the co-op that we have become, and we get much better prices on the wood, all the components and ingredients that we possibly can will be provided to you as a factory, either much cheaper or for free where we can. For example, we can make glue, so we'll set up a glue factory. We'll get a glue scientist or an epoxy scientist that knows how to make glue, and we'll set up a glue factory. And that glue will then be sold to the rest of the world, while it provides the carpenters, the laborers, and your factory with the glue necessary for your factory. Are you beginning to see how integrated this whole system is? So ultimately, you as the owner of this business will be able to expand the business without it costing you anything, because you've given up 2/3 of the business, retained 1/3, and retained perpetually the management and control of that. The management of that business, not control. The control of that business belongs to you and the community together. So you can expand your range. We can really push that business to a much bigger capacity because of the free labor that we have and the components we can provide. So the benefits to you as the owner of that business, whether it's a wooden factory or whether it's a farm, whether it's anything you can imagine, whether it's a bakery or a dairy, the benefits to you as the owner are virtually infinite. You'll make a lot more profit, a much larger turnover with much less costs, which means a much bigger profit. So the benefits to you, Mr. Owner of the wooden door and frame, window and door frame company, the benefits to you are virtually endless, and the costs to you are going to be a lot less than you're currently paying. So what's it going to be? Are you going to turn your wooden factory into a business, a community-owned business of which you retain control, or are you going to carry on the way you are? And then that choice is going to be up to you, the owner of that business. If you're a greedy individual, you will say, no thank you, I like the way my business runs. That's entirely up to you. But keep in mind, in a capitalist dog-eat-dog world, the community may decide that screw you, you have turned your back on the community, and we have an opportunity because of as the co-op with the many businesses and the investments and the the town coffers that are swelling all the time, growing with funds that we generate from not only from our electricity income that we make every month from our own community, until everyone is part of the one small town. Until then, we keep making more and more money that sits in the town coffers that we need to spend on uplifting our town and starting new businesses that belong to the people. So if the community then decides, because of our influence and contacts that keep growing, that we can get a supply of wood, or we can get supply of whatever it is to start a wooden factory, and a component of that will be making wooden doors and windows that will affect your business, we will then go ahead and do that because you turned your back on the community, or that person turned their back on the community. So ultimately what's going to happen is that this individual that runs this factory will have a choice to really participate and enhance their income potential and serve the community, become a cornerstone of the community, or just continue exploiting the community, as most large businesses do or factories do. They just use the people as cheap labor, and if they don't need them, they discard them, and the people end up on the street. So once we start our business, it will become a fierce competitor to you, the wooden factory. The final outcome will be that your factory is going to close down. And yet, even when your factory closes down, this is when you realize how completely inclusive and embracing the one small town and contributionism model is. Even though you've turned your back on the community and you've decided to go against the will or against helping to develop the community, and you lose your business, you may be given an opportunity, and you probably will because of your expertise, to come and run the community-owned business. You may be given another opportunity, or the people that work for you will be given that opportunity. But even better, as long as you contribute your 3 hours a week to that community, to the other projects, everything else, the food, the milk, the bread, the cheese, everything else, the other services, will still be available to you at no cost, because that's going to be the return on your 3 hours a week investment. That's what you're going to get in return for your 3 hours a week labor. So this just shows you how incredibly inclusive and embracing this is. So anybody that runs an existing business will be first. They'll be the first, or it could be a legal firm, a law firm, it could be a recording studio, it could be whatever it is you think of. But it's generally the larger businesses that will have this problem, not the smaller service-driven businesses and so forth. Those are much easier to deal with. It's these bigger factory-type businesses that manufacture stuff. And you'll see how beautiful and seamless this is. And I believe that any owner of this kind of business will jump at the opportunity that will be presented to them. And in fact, I can tell you that I have had this opportunity to ask certain businesses if they would participate in this kind of activity, to turn their business into a community-owned cooperative business with them retaining 1/3. And I can tell you that each and every time I sit down with such business owners, and some of these were very wealthy, very successful, for example, wine farm owners and so forth in South Africa, every time I bring this subject up, at the end of our debate, at the beginning, people are always a little bit sketchy and a little bit, they question this, they're a bit dubious and doubtful as to how this is going to work. But once we've worked through all the fundamentals of what they will get in return for sharing their business with a community, the answer every single time, and I can tell you with absolute honesty, every single time I've gone through this, the answer has been, when can we start? I hope that answers your question about what are we going to do with existing businesses, factories, and so forth in our town. I believe that there'll be absolutely no resistance whatsoever once these business owners see the benefit to them, to their business, and to themselves and their families, and the entire town as a whole. Until later, this is Michael Tellinger. Bye for now.